Hi, it's James here from the Sprinkle Donut Forge in Moscow, Texas, and it's summertime here in East Texas. It's the early part of June, and some of the pastimes for the average folk here include barbecuing and imbibing beverages that require a bottle opener. So I guess you know where I'm going with this, or if you don't, I'll tell you. This is a mechanics tool. This is a 3/4 inch old Sears and Craftsman wrench. I have a duplicate of this that's in better condition. So it's time for this thing to have a new life. You can kind of see bottle opener and barbecue fork. So let's do this. Let's get it hot. We'll see you in a minute. Let's start with the box then. Flatten it out. Get it running straight with the wrench. We'll get it kind of a uniform thickness. See there? Now I'm going to get it back in there and get it hot. We'll run it over the horn and try to expand this hoop a little bit. See you in a minute. Alright, we got a good glow on it. Let's put it around the horn. Flip it over. Come back this way. And you look at where it needs to come down a little bit, where it's thicker and thinner. We're just trying to make a bigger circle. Back in, let's expand it some more. See you in a minute. Alright, here we go. Don't want to force the metal. Keep the equation straightened out as you go. And I'm going to mention something right here. When you're working something around the horn, you're beating on it. You know, when you beat on steel, unless it's stainless steel, of course, scale falls off. So if you go too low, guess what? Your hand is underneath where the scale is falling. You're better off just flipping it over and going from the other side, because you can get some hits in on the side. But if you put your hand under where the scale's falling, you're going to get burned. And as a blacksmith, I'm used to scale burns, but I don't like them, and you run the risk of infection, and burns are not good to get. You can avoid them, avoid them. So I figured I'd put that in there. Here's what we got so far, and I'll get a US $quarter, and we'll see in comparison the size of the hole. The quarter almost passes through the hole. Goes this way, but not quite this way, because it's a little bit oblong. If a quarter passes through the hole, the odds are you can get it to make a bottle opener. So there's a good gauge for you. One United States $quarter or a similar size object. If it'll go through the hole easily with plenty of clearance, you can make a bottle opener out of it. let's warm this up. Try to get that hoop to its finished expansion size, and we'll make the bottle opener in. Then flip it around and we'll work on the fork. See you in a minute. Alright, let's try to expand it just a little bit more. Aim for the thicker areas. Try to flatten it out just a little bit. I've got a little pimple of a thicker area right here. I think I've got enough heat to kind of smash that out if I aim. These are basically planishing blows, which means lower than forging heat but still movable. Alright, where's my quarter? And don't touch this when you're doing it. Plenty of clearance, both directions. That'll make a bottle opener. Just warm it up, smash it down, and punch the tab. See you in a minute. Alright, let's get it out of there with some good old flat jaw tongs. Gentle. Alright, I think it's suitable to punch the tab now. Got a punch like this, little tomahawk eye punch, and I'm going to use it. Push the metal from back here. You can let it skip off slightly towards the eye. Okay, I'm not going to push it too far. Needs a little more heat on it. See you in a minute. Alright, let's pull it out. Lay it on the anvil. Anvil. Funny, everybody calls it anvil. Sounds like a city, doesn't it? Okay, one thing that's crucial about bottle openers that I have found of this type, the tab that you're pushing out needs to be flush with the back, the bottom side of the bottle opener, or you won't be able to engage the bottle cap to pull it off. See that tab? I just pushed the metal from back here and I let it skip off towards the eye, and it grew into a little tab. If it's a little ragged, you can always file that off with a small metal file. But judging by the looks of it, see that tab is at least flush with the back, so you'll be able to engage the bottle cap to pop it off. So that end is done, and I'm not going to quench it right now. I'm going to turn this thing straight a ways around, and we're going to put our 3/4 of an inch wrench head in there and get those wrench tines drawn out into fork tines, and we'll go from there. Let's get her hot. We'll see you in a minute. Alright, wrench heads are always canted to one side. That helps. Got her straightened up more. See you in a minute. Alright, let's grab it out. See, I've spread the wrench open, and I've kind of flattened the equation out. Now, unless you're just a master mover of metal, you're always going to have one tine longer than the other because the bulk of material is off to one side on a wrench. Don't worry about that. Gauge everything by the shortest side. You can always clip a piece off on the hot cut of the long side. Just try to keep everything else moving the same. If you have to have one longer, just let it draw out longer and cut it off. But it's not a wrench anymore. And you can see the long side I'm speaking of. We'll get this short side worked out and try to bring the long side with it. See you in a minute. Let's bonk it. Ain't that weird looking? Let's put it back in there. Let's get it. And there it is. Work on the short side. Okay, here's the short side. We're getting it narrowed down. There's the big side. We got to work on it and get it to match this one. And just let it go longer. Like I said, we'll cut it off later. See you in a minute. Okay, I'm going to work that piece over this edge of the anvil. And just to clarify things, this edge of the anvil is rounded. I call it the lazy edge. It's about half as round as the horn is, but it goes to a 90 degrees afterwards. If you do this over the sharp edge of a pristine anvil, it's going to put chop marks in your work. So just bear that in mind if you're trying to repeat this project, that I have a rounded edge on my anvil, and it was from wear, and it had some rag on it. I gently ground that off with a flat disc on an angle grinder so I wouldn't damage my work, and so the anvil would be more usable. So just remember, a sharp edge will put clefts and indentations in your work. I'm using the lazy edge, and it works really great for me because I can take something and hook over it like that, and I'm not creating chop marks. Alright, so the thickness is about the same on these two, roughly. We ain't getting out the micrometer on this deal. So what I'm going to do is refine the tine on the short side and get it to just where I want it. Then take the big side, pull it out to match it, and then cut off whatever's sticking out that I don't need. See you in a minute. Shall we then? Knock some of the edges down. It just goes to show you, if your old anvil is sick and got a lazy edge, it's actually a better tool because of it. Well, I won't say better. New anvils are great. And I'm purposefully doing this entire video with one 2-pound or 32-ounce ball peen hammer. Just to prove to all you guys that think that one of these doesn't belong in your shop, well, you ain't doing enough blacksmithing. The ball peen hammer is your friend. Plus the smaller surface area and the good dead weight you can actually move metal a lot better. I've mentioned this before, but you can move a lot of metal with one of these, and if it's all you had, you could make a living with it. So now what I've done is I've drawn that tine out, and I guess the end of that's about 1/8 of an inch, just roughly. So I got to be careful not to overheat that. I'm using a coal fire, so I have to make sure to isolate the heat to the other tine so I can work it down. Working your hot spots is one of the biggest things about using a coal fire. You isolate the heat to the part of the metal you're trying to move. Now look how big and thick that looks, and look how nice and slender that looks. That will burn because these wrenches are made of a chrome moly steel blend for the most part, and it will burn a lot easier than mild steel will, such as a rail spike. I can put a rail spike in there and a wrench in there. That wrench will barbecue itself to nothing before that rail spike will. So let's get the big end in, and we'll draw it out, and we'll try to fork this thing and see what needs to be cut off. See you in a minute. Alright. That looks pretty well even. Let me knock the edges down. Don't want them to be sharp, so. And in my own defense, I'll say I could do this a lot faster if I wasn't showing you. So, it's a labor of love. Alright. I see there's a little crook in it, in the shaft, so let's try to straighten that out while we got some heat. Do it over a softer edge. Okay. There we go. Mercedes-Benz, that's what it looks like. Anyway, next heat we're going to try to bring this into a fork and see how well the tines match. And you can always bend them outwards if they don't match to work on them individually. So let me heat it up. We're going to try to fork the thing and see what we have to eliminate. See you in a minute. Let's straighten the equation out here. So there's what we've got. see one's a little bit longer than the other, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on the hot cut and cut that off and try to get them a little bit more symmetrical. I'm not going to worry about the crookedness here. It's a wrench, and I want it to remain looking like a wrench because I think a little bit of that adds to the character of a piece. You can refine it however you see fit, but I think it adds to the character of the piece. Back in, get it hot, see you in a minute. Alright, let's play with this. Try to flatten them ends out a little bit. Well, I guess I underestimated myself because they're the same length. Okay, those are nice and flat. So what has to be done now is a little bit of grinding. Grind the inside edges off at a cant toward the outside edges. So I'm going to do that, and we'll see you in a minute. Alright, there we go. That'll do the job on meat, but the fork is flat. You need a slight curve to it. So I'm going to heat it up, put that curve on it, and then we'll go from there. See you in a minute. Alright, it's time for extraction. Let's see. Alright, there we go. That'll do. Into the slack tub. Ooh, that's sharp. That ought to do for grilling your meat. That ought to do for opening your soda pops. Well, we know this will grill meat, so let's see if we can open a soda pop. 1 second. Here's a soda pop. That works good. Alright. There we go. It ain't cleaned up, but we need to do one more thing to this. I should not have quenched it first. We need to touch mark it. I'm going to do it on the bottle opener end. Heat that up, touch mark it, quench it back off. We'll see you in a minute. Alright, let's do it. to use a 3-pound. Right about there. Let's see if I did any good. That'll work. You can't see it. Let's see. There it is. Sprinkle Donut Forge. Alright, take my glasses off. Cool that off real good. Alright, there we go. We got us a barbecue fork on this end. And we got us a Class A bottle opener on this end. Now that was a twist top bottle that I popped, so they don't pop great. But it still worked. And it engaged properly. So that's all cleaned up. Brushed off. That'll be a nice piece. There's how to take a 3/4 inch wrench and turn it into a summer fun tool. Tend your barbecue, open your beverages, and make an old wrench live again. Well, that's all I got for this evening. Till next time, bye.